the Rosado brothers just garrote him.
They do.
Try to.
And they try to, but they
But
yell.
you know what he does?
Michael says hello. No, he doesn't
Oh,
go
God.
limp, Nick. There's an assassination later during the New Year's Eve party where they assassinate Johnny Ola. And Johnny goes limp and dies because it doesn't work like that.
That one wasn't convincing to me. The coat hanger was like barely on his neck the entire scene.
Well, yeah, they call it acting, and millions are doing it. I don't know how I'm going to start it. How am I going to start it? Welcome to the bedroom.
We watched The Godfather Part II.
Is that her Vito or her Frankie P?
Come to me today on the review of Part 2.
They're all the same, bro. They all sound the same. Some
Thought
are
I
just
haven't watched
older than
Part
others.
1.
All right. Are you ready? In 3, 2, 1. 6.5 hours, dude. We've watched 6.5 hours of The Godfather. You think that's enough?
Nope, I'm ready for
You want to watch
three.
part 3?
Part 3
I'm not
tonight.
gonna- I'm not going to watch
3 more
part 3.
hours. Let's do it.
3 more.
I think my dad is so mad at part 3, he like refuses to acknowledge its existence. It's his Star Wars sequel trilogy.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, welcome back to the big room where we torture ourselves watching a lot of movies. I think didn't all 4 of us watch it last night?
Yes.
Yep.
Pretty much,
Carl,
yeah.
did you watch it last night or did you watch it earlier?
I watched it last night, yeah.
Jesus, yeah.
Yeah.
We should have had a
a lot
little
of
watch
movie.
party.
Whoops.
I went and worked out, humble brag, and then was like, I got to shower so fast, and then eat dinner, and I watched like 8 minutes of baseball, and then we had to watch the movie, and that was the whole evening.
That was the whole night.
It's crazy.
And what
You
a
really gotta
wild
clear your
ride.
schedule. Yeah.
Yeah. I really hope we pull like somehow an 11-minute YouTube video or something for next week. It is so much movie.
It's been a lot of murdery movies for the last bit.
Yeah.
yeah,
you
from
know.
Kill
Kill
Bill to
Bill.
The Godfather.
I can't even remember
Oh,
what
yeah.
was before Kill Bill. It's gone.
Gone with
No.
the wind.
Oh my God,
Was
which
it
was
Gone
also
with the Wind?
terrible.
Yeah, but we did squeeze Barbie into
But
there.
still, that's true.
Barbie, the
It's the only
brains.
reason we're sane right now.
Forced Barbie.
Barbie saved us.
in there. Which Barbie, by the way, hitting theaters again in late September with a post-credit scene.
Let's go.
So
Hot take.
watch
I
it
hate
again. Well, no, you do hate that. Well, because you're correct.
Yeah, no, it's a cash grab. They want more money. Don't give it to them.
Didn't they already make like over $1 billion?
Yeah, they have enough.
Yeah.
Is there more money to have after
Well,
that?
But Blue Beetle knocked him out of like the number 1.
Blue Beetle.
Yeah,
What is
people
that?
somehow people went and saw that.
People saw Blue
I don't even
Beetle?
know what that is.
We're talking too much. We've got a 3.5 hour movie to go over.
Get into it.
Oh no, real
So
quick. We were
ready.
talking about The Bachelor beforehand, and you
Oh, yes.
mentioned that The Bachelor's moving to Thursdays,
They are moving The Bachelor to Thursdays.
which is insane because I thought they moved it from Mondays to get out of the way of the NFL, but then they're just moving it to another NFL day. But then you said ABC has Monday Night Football, and that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned the spin, and Nick asked,
It's
"What does
the
that
Golden
mean?"
Bachelor.
What is a golden bachelor?
We have a 72-year-old man as the Bachelor.
It's a sugar daddy.
His name is Gary,
Of course.
but it's spelled like Jerry. So the
no.
internet is calling him Gary J. Gergich.
Yeah.
Because-
Terry Larry.
That's
I
the
could get into
bachelor
that.
I'd watch.
Yeah. No, I'm really
Oh
hyped.
jeez, you guys! Like just
Oh, jeez.
This guy is
Jeez,
the
my
most
bad.
precious
That
guy.
man has the largest penis I have ever seen. I was like, I hope you guys get the reference, or else this is just gonna go.
So is he retired? What's the spin?
Yeah, he's retired. He lives like he bought his dream house with his wife, who died of like some sort
I
of
thought you were still there.
Strange causes.
yeah, she got sick and passed away. So he's like, I'm looking for my next love. But they were married for like
That's
45
such a Gergich
years.
thing to do.
So
That is crazy.
Their story was
Huh.
really cute, and he seems he's like, what does it mean to be trending? I don't know what that means.
Oh.
Like,
Do you think the
Has
producers
he even
Go ahead.
heard of that show? Does he even know what he's on?
he has children that are like clearly hyping him up for it.
Do you think the producers are going to be able to get out of their own way and let it be wholesome?
No.
All right.
As a
Tune in
avid
each week for the
Bachelor
train
fan,
wreck.
a member of Bachelor Nation, if you will, the
Batch
producers
Nation.
the producers are evil. So
Why does the dog ripping it? Hey, Nick, can you make sure the dog doesn't rip at all of the mic cables? Okay, very good.
Don't do that.
A
Thank
little
you.
behind the scenes. The dog was ripping the mic cables.
Alfie ripped the mic cable.
The Godfather Part II. We watched it.
We did watch it.
I don't want to. My mustache whiskey has gotten the mic wet.
No,
Rip.
that's gross.
It's gonna smell good.
Might. Can't smell worse than these did when they came out of the packaging.
It's true. It was straight vinegar.
They smell. Yeah, they smell like
Ooh.
vinegar because whatever like child slave foam made
Was
this.
eating some with vinegar.
Well, it's just like the
Some vinegar
foam was
chips.
terrible and whatever. Oh my god! Cut all of it out. Leave it.
I'm not cutting it out.
I don't want to go through like the whole plot in
Just watch
chronological
it.
order.
Just watch the
Watch
movie.
You
the
If care
should
that
watch
much.
it
If you for
haven't.
real, like if you haven't watched The Godfather and
You
you're gonna
should.
listen to this, it's either because you like us, which is impossible because no one listens to this shit, or
Thanks,
it's because you
Maggie.
hate
Maggie does.
yourself. Because why would you do that? Why would you listen to?
Don't trust our summary. Like, do go watch it.
I think
Although
we do
again,
a great
I
job.
have another 3-page outline.
Don't even. No, you should come back. You should come back and watch it. But even if you don't, it's a good movie to watch. Would recommend.
I mean, they're two of the best movies ever made.
Yeah,
Like ever made.
I get it now.
Yeah.
It's a shame that 2 better movies came out the following year
Oh my God.
in 1976. 2 movies came out that are better than The Godfather, Smokey and the Bandit, and
No.
Star Wars.
Oh, God.
But
That's
I
kind
digress.
of a hard
They're different.
to compare. Like, what's like Star Wars and The Godfather? Like, Star Wars is such a pop culture like thing.
Well, it's
So is The
yeah,
Godfather, though.
it's
So is
a-
The Godfather.
The Godfather's like a generational drama, though, and Star Wars is a funny little space opera
Yeah.
that did change movies forever.
Yeah, like they were both so impactful, but so
I don't-
different.
I don't know. Yeah, they're both great. They're both like S.
One's more classical, one's more pop.
Yeah, that's true. They're both like S+ tier films, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like if
Yes.
we're making like an all-time film list based on like the 35 movies you and I have seen, like the tops of my list immediately are going to be like Star Wars Episode 4, Godfather 1 and 2,
Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane,
Meh.
and Pulp Fiction.
Yep.
And,
Casablanca.
we'll do this maybe
Well-
at the end. No, Casablanca was lit.
You should rewatch it. I
It's
think
super
you
good.
probably
I
appreciate it.
might.
Yeah.
That'll be the.
If you can sit through both of these movies, you can definitely do another Casablanca.
yeah, just pay attention next time.
As I've sat with Godfather Part 2 for the last like 24 hours, it's like I have this thing where like I get sucked into like worlds, and I feel like I've been sucked into like the world of The Godfather where I don't want the experience to end. So I've just been like replaying and picturing in my head for the last like at work I was like I just want to think about The Godfather, which like doesn't happen to me a lot, and it's crazy that that's happened to me with this movie.
I like it.
But
you
I'm
gotta
like-
watch the third one.
Out of all the movies, like
You gotta watch the third one and
Do
let
y'all
us know.
do
I'm
y'all
kinda curious.
get now why when we watched like Goodfellas and
like
Scarface?
and what was the other one that was kind of a mob movie?
Kevin
Gangs of New
Spacey.
York?
No.
Kevin
Oh, God.
Spacey.
God dang
I
it.
can't even remember anything. Anybody
LA
else in it.
Confidential.
Yes.
Yes.
Ah.
That when we watched all those, I
Well
was kind of like, this isn't
This
hitting
isn't what
it
I want.
for
Yeah.
me, and it's because
A little tease.
this is what I'm talking about. The Godfather's. When I think of a mob movie, that like those other movies don't have that air of like I'm watching an epic masterpiece like this.
Scarface definitely does more, but even compared to Godfather, I feel that way about Scarface. It's like almost there.
Yeah, and plus like man, Michael's so scary in this movie. In part 2, he's
He's
scary.
so scary.
And it's
Just the
awesome.
from the beginning of part 1 to the end of this movie. The arc
Yep.
of Michael is insane.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
like-
There's
tell-
like
oh.
no light behind his eyes at the end.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
I was just like, this guy's lost everything.
What were you gonna say?
Well, I was going to talk about his eyes. So like he
They're so
doesn't
dreamy.
he doesn't blink. Well, they are dreamy but scary. He doesn't blink. So he just like the fact that he just doesn't blink, he just stares into you and like just all the expressions that Al Pacino does with his eyes in like a mere like second when like he learns about betrayals. It's just he goes through the whole thing of emotions with just like his eyes. And
There's-
it's crazy.
There's 2
It's
moments.
like a shark's eyes.
Yeah.
Just black. Yeah.
There's 2 moments in this movie where because normally it is all eyes for Michael because he's very straight-faced, stoic, reserved. I'm going to speak with my actions later than with my rage right now. Kind of like how he did with the senator guy at the beginning of this movie. My offer is this: nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
But there are two moments in this movie. One when Fredo mentions, like, lets it slip that he knew Johnny, whatever his
Ola,
face-
I think?
Ola.
Ola.
And then when Kay says she got an abortion and then it wasn't a miscarriage, where his whole face like contorts with fury.
It's so
Yeah.
And
crazy.
it's horrifying. It's like so scary. And especially in the abortion scene, it was a really like conflicting feeling of like, this dude's like the antagonist that we're, for better or for worse, looking up to for this whole 6-hour journey, but he's being irredeemably awful right now.
Yeah. Did you ever feel conflicted with that?
Yeah,
'Cause
like in that scene above all other scenes. Well, that and like anything involving Fredo in this movie.
I was cheering him on the whole time, especially during like in the end in the court scenes and stuff. I was like, any of like real life, I would be like,
Right.
put this guy away.
This
Yeah.
guy's
And
terrible.
I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
he got through it. He didn't get sent to prison.
And just like how scary other characters know that he is. Like all it took to get Frank to not squeal during that trial was to bring his brother in. His brother that couldn't speak or understand any English. Just that he walked in and Frank immediately knew, I have to perjure myself
Yeah.
because that's better than anything that Michael could do. Like the worst that the worst that the government can do to me is so much better than the worst that Michael can do to me, which is just crazy. He's such an insane character.
Why did they take him back to the compound after he like didn't cooperate? Why didn't they just like lock him up?
He was under witness protection first, and then second, like he perjured himself, so he has to stay under custody anyway.
Okay.
And I just assumed that either he remained under witness
process.
protection because he like maybe they bought the reason that he like lied.
I figured there'd be like more severe like punishment for him not working with them.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the law was just moving slow there. And plus, for narrative purposes, if you're going to have him kill himself, you have to have him in a place where Tom can talk to him. But I don't know. Maybe the book
right.
explains that better because there is a book around all this, which is one of the things that I had not the biggest question, but a question about part 2 in specific is how much we jumped to the past for young Vito, played by Robert De Niro. And I want to talk about his performance.
Yeah.
But like, I wonder if the
Oh, that's
book
so
was
good.
full chronological order or if it did the time jumps like the movie. Like, did we get young Vito all the way up and then
Yeah.
part 1 and then the rest of part 2? I just don't know.
And I feel like you have a different opinion, so maybe we can talk about it for a second. I thought that the time jumps were jarring and out of place. Like for me, I loved Robert De Niro and the whole backstory on Vito so much that I kind of wish it was a separate movie. Like if we get just a little bit
Like a
more of
prequel.
that.
I
And then
could
if
have
that
done.
if that would have come out in between the two movies,
I do think those were my favorite parts of the movie. Was those jump backs?
There are some of my favorite parts
Yeah.
too, but I really liked the back and forth.
I love the story. I love both storylines, but I feel like the flashbacks cut up the current day too much. Because I was already struggling
This
I
one
would
was
keep
hard.
up with
This one was
everything going on.
harder to follow than the first one.
for sure.
Did it when the court
didn't
scene
have a-
happened?
I
Did
didn't
it
have a hard
just
time.
happen?
What do you mean?
Because I
Yeah.
think I blinked and we were in court and I was like,
Yeah.
wait, what happened? Like, and I was like, I
we
guess
might be getting
I feel like I
ahead of
missed
ourselves here,
something.
But yeah, after the
Well, we're not really
intermission,
going anywhere. Yeah.
after the intermission, I was like, did I? Because it goes straight to the court after intermission. I was like, did I
Yeah.
miss something?
I didn't know if there was
paused for
something
a
leading
second
up
to
Well,
to it
we
that I
had
didn't
that-
see, and I was like, I'm feeling like Nick right now. I better go back and.
Oh no!
I was like,
Oh
what
no!
happened?
Gotta rewind.
Well, we had that quick scene that introduced it with, I think it was one of Frank's boys that were being questioned first.
Mm-hmm.
And that was our introduction to, the government's cracking down on the mob. Why?
Yeah.
Because of the whole drug thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's why Vito didn't want to get into it. Drugs are what was the downfall of the mob and all that jazz.
And I guess
Plus, we're getting into the late 50s at that point. Like, I think it was like 58 towards the end of the movie. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it was...
Is that during the war on drugs, or is that way after?
no, the war on drugs was
Right
Reagan. That was in
before
the
me.
80s.
Okay, way after.
Stupid Reagan. It's the worst. One of the
Best
worst
president
presidents.
of all
One of
time.
the worst presidents we've ever had is Ronald Reagan.
But he was funny.
Yeah, I bet he's laughing it up in hell right now. Stupid asshole.
I will say, after he almost got assassinated and he came back and he was giving a speech, Reagan,
Yeah.
and a balloon popped and he just went, "You missed." That was good. That was fun.
That's cold. Yeah,
I love that.
That's cold.
It's really all I know about the guy.
Wow.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to go over our giant outline to get to.
I know. How do we want to jump on into this? One of the dogs just ran into my foot with
Well,
their head.
because the dogs are fighting. I hope they can hear that because it's hysterical. Let's just kind of loosely go through the plot. I don't want to spend the whole time doing that, and we can jump around even though we have been. But let's talk about the very beginning where we have young Vito. So the first thing, like we fade in essentially on child Vito. This dog is so loud and distracting.
Phoebe. Phoebe.
And he's like a young boy, and like the first thing we learn is that his dad's dead, like insulted the mob boss, Mafia Don Ciccio.
Ciccio.
Choo-choo.
Insulted Don Ciccio, and then his older brother. Like we're walking through a funeral proceeding that is in what, a riverbed that hasn't had water since 300 BC. Like what the hell was that?
Just in the middle of nowhere. The perspective in that scene was very off for me.
What do you mean?
Because it looked like...
It looked like a Bug's Life, like little tiny people.
Exactly.
Exactly. When the Bug's Life's in the
I thought
cracked ground.
a foot was about to come down, like someone walk in front of the camera, and just 3 miles in the distance, just these tiny little people. I was like, what is happening?
Oh my god.
Enhance.
Pans over and Hopper's like, let's ride, and they're the best.
I've still never seen Bugs Life.
Oh my god!
Oh my God.
You've seen Seven Samurai.
I can't believe, of all people, you guys are shocked that I haven't seen a movie.
As the Bugs Life is one of the first movies I latched.
I did
onto
see
as a
Seven
kid.
Samurais, and I hear that's the same thing. So
Sure. Well, you only saw that because we made you. But they're carrying the casket, and then they just shoot the kid. They shoot Vito's older brother who
Yep.
swore revenge, and he's like a child.
yeah,
Yeah. Crazy.
Which is wild.
worthless.
And then old mama
Mama.
goes to Ciccio and is like, hey, how about you don't kill my last
Why?
kid?
Yeah.
How about you knock it off?
Okay,
I
what
get
did you not understand about
No,
this?
I understood it. I just don't know why she did it. Like, I get going. Go ahead. Go try to save your son. Don't take him with you. Don't take him to the guy and then say don't
Well, but
kill
if she
him.
doesn't leave him, are they just going to assassinate him out of her sight?
I
That's
guess
probably the fear there.
Yeah.
But she brings
There's no
him.
dad to stay at home with.
Nope, or brother, because
Or
he's
brother.
dead too. They got 2 funerals. Maybe she didn't
Rip.
pay for a second funeral. They're like, we got another
true.
box.
Cost effective.
So get another box over here. I got another one.
Effective.
Cost effective. No, it's true. It was great though. They have like a band and everything, and the band just stops, and you got like people with trumpets ducking under giant
Running in
rocks.
30
It's so
different directions.
it was funny. But no, she goes to Ciccio and she's like, "Can you not kill this one?" And he's like, "Yeah, but he's gonna grow up and try to kill me." And she's like, "He won't.
He won't do
And
it.
Ciccio's like, "He might." and we have that, and then she just grabs a knife out of her ass. I don't know where she got it. And
She was hiding it. She was wearing her
yeah, pulled it out of her ass and puts it like to John Ciccio's neck, and we're like, okay.
Okay.
And so as soon as she pulled the knife, my memory of this scene came back. I was like, oh, I've seen this
nice.
part. But the only 2 things I remembered from this whole movie were that and Fredo getting shot in the back of the head in the boat. That was the only 2
Spoilers.
things I remembered.
Please.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about it. The whole podcast spoiler. Jesus Christ! If you're still listening to episode 32 or whatever
32.
we're on,
These
and
guys keep ruining the movies
Yeah.
for me. It's like, every week.
but no, she pulls the knife and then gets shot by the largest shotgun in the world because
Oh
she
my God.
flies.
It reminded me of
Django.
Django Unchained.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
yeah.
then she went the right way.
Except she went the right way.
Perpendicular.
She didn't take a hard
Yeah.
left like they did in Django. That was so so baffling. How do I shoot you
was
straight
silly.
down and you go that way? Is crazy. It's like what it's my thoughts about that scene is mirrors what Carl thinks about helicopters. Is bullshit. So Vito
Does it make
smuggled out.
sense?
This is like we don't have to talk about this forever. He gets smuggled out of Corleone, which is the town. We learn Corleone's the town in Sicily.
Yep.
And then
To New York.
Gets New York Ellis Island immigration officer goes, "What's your name?" Fredo doesn't speak for some reason. That was established.
He's traumatized.
Well,
I
he
don't know.
didn't
Well, he
speak
doesn't
before
speak
that.
English.
Oh,
He didn't
that's
speak.
I assume he doesn't
But it
speak
didn't even,
English.
like,
Yeah, she said he was
try.
like dumb. Or
Yeah,
something.
Mom told
Or-
Chichio that he was simple. And he,
Simple.
couldn't, and he couldn't speak. You
Missed
missed that? Oh my god!
I didn't know
Yeah,
if
I
that was
don't
a strategy or if he
I
actually
thought she was just mean.
Like, don't kill my dumb son.
Look at how dumb he is. So dumb son. No, but the immigration officer's like, "What's his name?" And he tells them, and then he's like, "Nah, his name's
Nah.
Vito Corleone." And then we go to present day.
Which it probably worked out for him because maybe the guy that his mom just got killed by, maybe he would have come after him trying to look for the real name.
I don't know. I don't know how.
Maybe that helped him
Maybe tough
hard
to
to
trace.
track.
I
I
bet.
don't know if the
Yeah.
mafia
Maybe he
was
didn't care enough.
stretching that far.
Yeah. Loose ends though, man. Who knows?
I mean, he knew.
He knew.
He knew later. It's like the best part of the movie.
There's so many
Sound
good
like a
parts. It's
cat.
hard to.
Okay.
It's hard to pick.
Fair. So the beginning, past that point, the present day, 1958, beginning of the movie is just a mirror of the first one.
Yeah.
So we got another party, except it's Michael's kids' party, not a wedding.
Little Anthony.
Communion party.
Little Tony.
I've
and
never
his
heard
first
of.
communion, which Roman Catholics, dude, they be
Party.
partying.
It's a party.
You got a party and you got drunk uncles everywhere.
Why
and
do we waste so much time with like being evangelical? We could have been Roman Catholic and partying this whole
Heck,
time.
on it.
Church is a long time though.
Let's go.
You got to kneel on a thing.
Nah, it's lame. You're
Oh,
right. Our
no.
knees.
And
I'm out.
they got holy waters flying everywhere, and
Yeah.
no, we're not Catholic. They think the body turns into actual Jesus. How much of this guy's going around? How much they have? It's crazy.
And endless. Jesus himself is like the oil that never runs out.
Right. It's just we got more Jesus meat every time. Transubstantiation.
Wow.
Stupid. Dumb.
Jesus meat.
Michael's taking.
We'll make it a shirt.
There's 100 jokes to make, and none of them will get us into the kingdom of heaven. Oh, jeez, me.
my god.
Title of my sex tape.
Anyway.
All right, cut it out.
Right.
Leave it.
All right.
Michael's taking more meetings. It's whatever. There's a senator that does the dumbest senator move ever. He's like tries to extort Michael
Like-
Corleone. He's like, you know those gambling licenses you may need? What if you paid me 1,000 times what they were worth and then
Yeah.
gave me 10% of everything all of your casinos made? And Michael's like,
just like, why?
yeah, he's like, why would I do that?
Why?
Why would I do that? And the dude's like, just let me know by tomorrow at noon what your response is going to be. And Michael's like, I'll tell you right now, you're getting nothing. And he's just like a stone cold kid. And the dude even tries to, like, Michael's got a toy cannon on his desk. And the senator even turns it at him, like to try to intimidate. And Michael's just like, why are you
Okay.
playing
It's
with
a
my toys?
Yeah, I know it's not a real cannon.
It's hilarious. And it's like, dude, what do you, like, does he expect not, like, how do you think that you're going to do that and not be found hanging
In his
by
own
a meat
hook.
in a refrigerated
Yeah.
van somewhere, like
He
in
made it out
Goodfellas?
though.
What?
He made it
Yeah,
out.
he did make
I
it
mean,
out.
he
Senator
made it
made it.
out
Well, yeah.
After
with-
some
we'll get there.
with
manipulation.
PTSD, yeah. After murdering a hooker that he didn't murder. Then Connie's being the worst. Connie's like, I want a third husband. And Michael's
Who's
like,
Connie?
no. Mike, the sister, dude.
Okay.
What do you mean?
Okay.
Oh.
Bro, there's so many names.
There's like
I can't
there's-
keep up.
There's
There are a lot of characters.
3 women in this whole thing, and one of them explodes within 10 minutes of meeting her.
Wait.
Come on.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Apollonia.
Kay, Apollonia, and Connie. Those are like
Yeah.
the 3 women that we
I know
have.
Kay.
It's shocking.
Simple name.
Yeah, Connie's really difficult. So Frank, the most confusing part of the movie that I thought wasn't as confusing actually as the first one is the Frank Pentangeli. Holy crap,
Frankie.
Frankie P, as I call him in the outline,
Frankie P.
and dude, Hyman Roth. Those two, like the power struggle between those two, and then who put out the hit on Michael, because Michael gets hit right after this. Like Kay is so funny. Kay's like, why are the curtains open? And as soon as she said that, I went,
Oh no!
Famous last
I was
words.
like, oh my God. And then, yeah, exactly. Just bullets through the window and everything. And it
I
was
will
crazy.
say, Michael got a hot point for the way he like threw himself over his wife. I was like, that's pretty hot.
Well, it's great too because she's just in the bed like, ah, and he army crawls and just like rips her down.
Grabs her.
Yeah, that marine training coming in
I was
handy.
like,
Yeah, I'm like,
wow.
I wouldn't be strong enough to do that. I'd be like, roll
I'd be dead.
down.
Come here!
I'd be dead.
Why are you in the bed still?
just snoring.
It's because she like pulls the sheets up. It's like, those aren't bulletproof. What are you doing? Do you have Kevlar bed sheets? That'd be sweaty. The worst.
Oh, man.
Why are the
It's not
curtains
Batman's
open?
cape.
Yeah, they survive. There's hitmen, and like they mentioned trying to get the hitmen, and Michael's like, "There's no way the hitmen are alive because they didn't kill me, so they're gonna be dead." And then
They are.
they are
They are super
I
dead.
don't know how they died. Still,
They got their throats
throat
slashed.
slashed, presumably by
the inside person.
who we know is Fredo.
Yeah.
Bum bum bum.
So we assume Fredo slashed their throats, which seems kind of unbelievable.
Hard to imagine him doing
because
anything.
it'd
Yeah.
be Fredo doing something.
We saw him fumbling with that gun earlier.
Yeah.
Can't imagine he's much better with a knife.
Ugh.
So Michael then confides in Tom, who he admits that he's like, this is why I've kept everything from you, because you're the only person I can now trust, which is kind of cool. I'm like, Tom's getting his solid. Like that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
During
Tom.
this scene, I was like, if anything happens to Tom, I'm gonna be so
Tom made it out
sad.
clean,
But
too.
Tom made
He's
it out.
He's the goodest guy in the whole group.
Yeah.
He probably comes out the best of anybody in any of the movies.
Yeah.
He's the least scathed. So he gives Tom all the power. He's like, you are acting Don. I'm out. And he flees because he's like, all the heat's on me. You got to keep my family safe. And he bones out. And then we go back in time again. And Nick's like, God, I hate this movie. So we go back to Vito. And Vito's an adult now. And he's played by freaking
Robert De
Robert De Niro.
Robert
in
De
like his
Niro.
first, wasn't it like his first big thing? Or
No, he had done some other things
Okay.
before this.
certainly
still
probably his
early
most
on.
high profile.
Yeah.
Like
early
he's
on in
he's
his
32,
career.
I think, in this movie.
Oh, okay.
So he's pretty young. And he's working at Publix Deli, hanging out, slinging meats for some guy, I don't know, and his son.
Yeah. His best friend.
And then there's a mob boss in the neighborhood. I don't remember what his name is.
Was that Fanucci?
Fanucci, something like that. I wrote it
Don
down.
Fanucci.
It was Italian.
Yes, Don Fanucci. I wrote it down in the
Nice.
next
Boss.
flashback for some reason, not in this note. He's a big meanie, and he's taking a lot of cuts from businesses and not providing a lot in return. He's just kind of like the sheriff of Nottingham.
He's being a real Zacchaeus about
Yeah.
it, if you will.
A real Zacchaeus?
Taking too much tax.
I mean, yeah.
He was a
I
wee little
guess.
man.
I'm glad I went with
And a wee little man was he.
I went with the sheriff of Nottingham, and she was like, "No, Zacchaeus will reach a broader audience
Oh.
as a metaphor." He climbed up in a sycamore tree. What did the sheriff of Nottingham climb?
Ugh.
Oh
For the
man.
Lord, he
Mount
wanted
Nottingham?
To see.
I don't know.
Mount Nottingham.
And then we get a guy. So Vito's chilling, eating dinner with his wife in his apartment, and someone knocks on the window, and just like yells something, "Help me out!" Are you still laughing about Zacchaeus? What are you laughing about?
Jesus.
Jesus. Wait.
Oh God.
Oh man.
Sorry.
Just want to talk about Clemenza.
No, talk about it. I'm sorry.
Oh man. Got Jesus meat on the brain.
What would people do if they find out it's true? I don't really care if they label me a
Oh
Jesus
my God,
meat.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh, God.
Clemenza.
Clemenza. Well,
Our boy.
spoilers that it's Clemenza, but yeah,
Oh, yeah.
someone knocks on the window and goes, "Hey, take this loose bag, and I'll pick it up next week." And then Vito puts it
chucks
in
it
the
at him.
bathtub, closes the door, and it's just full of loose
Oh.
guns, which I thought was
you
kind
do.
of funny. Just like, hey, take my Adidas gym bag full of guns, please. I'll be back next week. Like the cops aren't gonna check next door, but they didn't.
It's okay. I'll repay you with a rug.
Yeah. So he repays him, and this is you remember Clemenza from the first movie.
Yeah, here's my thing with especially movies like this. I don't really remember names. I just remember faces,
And that doesn't help.
which
you.
made the second Godfather very hard.
So
So I
here's-
had to Google a lot, but I got there.
Yeah, so Clemenza.
I was like, I know Clemenza is a person. I had to Google it. And then
Clemenza's the guy that hid the gun behind the toilet in the first movie.
Yeah.
For Michael. And then the other guy that was with him is the dude that betrayed Michael at the end of the first movie and got garroted. What's his name? Shit.
Wait, what?
Tessio?
Tessio.
Oh, yeah.
Something
Yeah,
like that.
so Tessio comes up later. But yeah, Clemenza is like, hey, Vito, come with me. We'll take you to my friend's house. Just breaks into a rich guy's house, steals their rug, and they're just
Almost
like,
murders
it's in
a
the
person.
way that you use it. And then the end of flashback. It's hilarious.
I'm so dumb during that scene that I thought as they were taking the rug out, I was like, are they taking the rug to his house to put the guns in to move them, or I was
You're really making 1 + 1
We need a
equal
bigger
5
bag.
there.
I was like, oh, it's just a gift.
Yeah.
It's just a gift.
If we put him under
Just
the
for
rug,
fun.
then no one will see it. And there's just like gun lumps.
Then we can
on the living room
move.
floor.
Then we can move the rug in between our windows.
Yeah, we'll just like shoots and ladders, guns. Boom, like
I knew it wasn't right, but that's where I was. I was
Shoot
like,
down a
hang on,
meatball.
I've got to
Wait a
figure this
minute.
out.
Jesus.
Which, can you imagine coming back to your house and a rug being gone, but nothing else
Yeah, that'd be wild.
changed? Like,
Be
I know there was a rug there, right?
So I'm assuming that the flashbacks were to kind of like have a juxtaposition, to use a large fun word, between Michael's rise to power and how he dealt with it, and Vito's significantly more humble rise to power, and how their early dawnships, if you will, were so different. But also just to give us like, hey, Vito was so nice and kind, and look at how he started, and blah, blah, and Michael's like being just
Immediately.
excuse me. Oh my gosh, everything's falling
Take a
apart.
breath.
I'm burping. Nick gave me whiskey, and it's giving me the burpees.
Yeah, I didn't really make any connections there. Like, I appreciated the
With the
Vito
jump back
But
backstory.
it bothered you, which is weird.
Well,
to me.
I didn't like it because I didn't make those connections. It just felt like they were putting the movie on pause to tell me another story, kind of thing.
Huh.
Like, I enjoyed the Vito backstory.
It also gave us some break though, from
Yeah.
because the Michael stuff was
It's heavy.
and then the Vito stuff, it's like, oh, look at Robert De Niro making little happy times. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of like it.
Yeah.
It was
He
more
was so
for me
charming.
that once I got back to like Michael
Yeah.
in the current day, I was like, oh yeah, wait, what was happening?
I kind of took it as a nice reprieve every time it happened. Like
You're
a
probably
nice,
right.
A
It
nice
might have
little
been
gear
too much.
change.
Because most of the stuff that young Vito was doing was like helping a lady keep her apartment. He got the rent lower, and everything that Michael's doing is just nefarious and terrible. So it just shows how
Yeah.
like quickly it fell apart.
Michael,
Kind of.
to the point later in the movie, Michael doesn't know when to stop. Michael would never just be like, "And we're done," because Tom tried to get him to.
Maybe, and I just had this thought,
Breaking news.
but but maybe the Vito backstory would have been better in the first movie.
No,
Split
I
throughout.
don't think so. I don't think the Vito backstory.
Because then you're making.
I don't think it helps the original character Vito. I think
Right.
you don't want to tamper
It doesn't
with that.
when he's alive still.
Yeah,
I think the Vito backstory only hits when Vito's dead,
maybe.
because then it's truly a retrospective.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it hits harder
Oh.
when Michael's in power because it shows the contrast.
Yeah,
I'm here for a Vito movie.
you're just Ken.
So,
Yeah,
what?
you're just Ken.
Ken?
Just-
I am.
This Ken likes Vito.
I'm Knuff.
No.
Back to the present.
I movie.
Michael visits. This is where Michael flees. He flees to Miami, and he goes and hangs out with Roth, Hyman Roth. Crazy first name, Hyman. Really? And blames the assassination attempt on Frankie P. This is where I'm like, all right, Michael's playing games. Michael's pulling strings. He's got to know it wasn't Frankie, because then he immediately he tells Roth, Frank did it, and he'll pay for it. And then he goes right to Brooklyn, where Frank is living in Vito's old house, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that house went to
They kept it in the family.
yeah, they kept it in the family, which is cool. And he goes
Why
back.
wouldn't Michael keep it? Just because they were moving to Vegas?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
had a lot of heat.
Okay.
I mean, he whacked every mob
Oh,
boss
right,
and
right,
was
right.
like, I'm out.
Yeah, probably don't want to be
Yeah.
at your childhood home.
So he went back to Brooklyn and met with Frankie P and told him that Roth was actually behind the attempted hit and that Michael has a plan to deal with him. He just needed Frank to cooperate with the Rosado brothers, who Frank came to Michael to have them killed, but he was like, I can't put a hit on Rosado. I can't let you do that because they're with Roth, and I need to make this deal with Roth because there was like a casino deal that Roth was wrapped up in or whatever, and he also was going to give Roth the $2 million in Cuba as a part of it and blah, blah, blah. So there was like some ties there. Frank was all pissed off. So he's like, chill with the Rosados. I'll take care of Roth. Yeah. And then once Roth is out of the way, presumably Frank can go out to the Rosados and do whatever he wants. So
this was the scene where Michael was first like, I was like, he's scary.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, like the way he was looking at him and staring at him, I was just like, ooh.
Isn't this where he screamed at Frank? Like,
in my own house. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God.
Where my children play.
Yeah. He peaked the microphone when he yelled, and I love that. For some reason, in old movies, when they yell and it peaks the mics, because you don't get that now. Now we have better microphones and whatever.
He really only had 3 shouting moments, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was that, Kay. And
then at the very beginning, he's like, no, alive.
Oh, yeah. Well, he wanted the
what
two
was
guys
the second
alive.
one? With Kay?
Kay, when the abortion, he screams at
oh,
Kay,
yeah, right before he slaps the crap out of her.
Yep. So Frank goes and meets with the Rosado brothers, I assume to try to smooth things over, but it's the stupidest thing that he does because then the Rosado brothers just garrote him.
They do.
Try to.
And they try to, but they yell.
You know what he does?
Michael says hello. No, he doesn't go limp, Nick. He doesn't go limp.
It looked...
No, because there's an assassin, you dumbass. There's an assassination later during the New Year's Eve party where they assassinate Johnny Ola. And Johnny goes limp and dies because it doesn't work like that.
With the coat hanger?
Yeah.
That one wasn't convincing to me. The coat hanger was like barely on his neck the entire scene.
Well, yeah, they call it acting, and millions are doing it. So Frank, they attempt to garrote him in a bar,
and he lives.
And then a cop just wanders in and is like, "Are you open or not?" Like, it's so weird. What's that on the floor?
Drink on the job. Come on.
He goes, "What's that on the floor?" And it's just a human man. Like they try to like shove him in a closet, and his feet are hanging out. And then Frank lives. And at that point, I kind of got bought into, because he tells him this is from Michael, or Michael sends his regards or something when he starts going. I'm like, oh shit, Michael's just trying to kill both parties, but it wasn't actually him. It was Ross, or Roth rather, set him up, and now that's when Frank goes to the authorities and gets himself in witness protection because he's like, so he's a capo for Michael. He's running like the New York side of the family ish. So he goes into witness protection and he's like, well, my Don's trying to kill me, so I'm out. And that's when the court stuff kind of starts. That's why it starts, is Frank goes to witness protection first.
Oh, yeah.
You had a point you wanted to talk about here, my notes say, in purple.
I kind of already mentioned it earlier. It was Al Pacino's just acting performance with his facial
I just didn't want to miss that. Then.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I got a meta ad receipt. Thank you. Email. Michael goes to Havana right after this. So he meets with Roth. He meets with Frank, and then goes to Havana with Roth.
See some dudes blown up.
Yeah, yep. So I didn't have time or the brain, and I didn't think it was worth it to look into the political things but like there's a dictator running Cuba, and the U.S. is trying to do something with it. I don't know if the dictator was a puppet or if we were buying him or what, but there was a lot of U.S. investment going in, which is involved, what Roth is involved in, but there's rebels, and they're led by Castro.
Right.
And Michael's like, these dudes can win because I just watched one blow himself up.
All that really matters is that it scares Michael.
Yeah, and Michael's like, well, he used it as an out.
Right.
He's like, my investment may not be secure here because I think the rebels might be able to win. And then Roth is like, rah, rah, rah. Like he's all grumpy about it. And they have a scene later where he's like, I want that $2 million briefcase on this coffee table by tomorrow morning or our partnership's over. And
by the time I wake up from my nap.
Yeah, by the time that's right. He's taking a nap, and then Michael's like, well, he like has Fredo bring the money over after that, and asks Fredo like, hey, do you know Roth or Johnny Ola? And Fredo's like,
never heard of him.
Never heard of her. Who? You brought her.
Interesting name.
Yeah. Definitely not people I won't go out of my way to not make eye contact with later. Like, Fredo's so stupid.
I just want to apologize for my defense of Fredo
Yeah.
last week. I didn't know.
I made like an executive decision last week to call the episode Fredo Sucks because it's all I could think of because I wasn't feeling clever. And I think I might call this one Fredo Sucks 2.
Sucks too.
Again, Fredo sucks again.
I told my dad I had dinner with my dad and my uncle after golfing on Sunday night, and I mentioned that we were watching part 2, and that Danielle thought Fredo was kind of endearing, like he was stupid but
I'm
in an
a
endearing
fool.
way. And my
I
dad
look like
just
a fool.
my dad just goes.
It's okay, Danielle.
Dad just goes. Ugh. And I'm like, I know, because it's the one scene I remember. And I'm like, yeah, the boat, and he goes, yeah. I'm like, yeah, he's the worst.
I didn't hate him in the first one. I thought
Right.
I said something about him being drunk and thought it was funny. He was
Yeah.
fine in the first one.
Yeah, he didn't cause
He
any
let his dad get
problems.
shot, but
A little dumb, but you know.
A little.
Okay, really
he's,
dumb.
he's not
Fredo
dumb.
never
He's
in,
just
in,
goofy.
in 6.5
just
hours.
doesn't
Fredo
think.
did not make one good decision.
That's true.
yeah, you're right.
Not one good one.
He was nice to Michael's kid.
that was cute. Taught him how to fish.
Yeah.
That's
I'll
true.
catch
That's
one
true.
for
Say
you.
the Hail Marys and
He
stuff.
didn't.
He
We'll get there in
didn't
just a second. It's New Year's Eve in Cuba,
Cuba.
in Havana, and during the New Year's Eve celebrations, Michael's like, "Hey, Fredo, you know Havana," which is weird. Like we know that he knows Vegas, but I guess he knew Havana.
He's just a party boy.
or whatever.
He
He's like,
knows
take
how
the
to party.
people out for a good time while I broodingly stand just behind everything the whole night. What a partier.
Well, because he clocks that Fredo's lying to him.
We clocks it while he's standing back brooding because
Yeah.
they take him to this hilariously weird strip club with the dude that's
a way to
named
put it.
Superman, and he's got a robe on. They're like, "Why do you call him Superman?" And Fredo's like, "You'll see." And he whips his robe off, and this dude's got a hammer apparently because they're like, "That's why they call him Superman."
Is that fake?
Because his
Nah.
dick is huge. And then they're like, one of the guys that they're with goes, "Hey, Fredo, how'd you learn about this place?" And Fredo loudly, like
So
a
dumb.
dumb
So
ass,
dumb.
goes, "Oh, Johnny Ola told me about it." And Michael just is like, in the background, like furious. And I'm like, yeah. Danielle's like, "Oh, no." I'm like, "Oh, yeah."
No. Like he just gives a look to his bodyguard, and
And
it's
I had like a
kill him.
Vietnam PTSD flashback to the boat
Yeah.
scene that was going to happen later. I'm like, if she's
Oof.
pro Fredo after this, she's not going to have a good
I'm
night.
not.
Yeah, that one really rocked him. Like you could see it like hit him and like the wave of realization.
Yeah.
It's like, oh god, now I gotta deal with this.
But Michael's got his assassin guy dressed in all black that's slithering around the party house, and he knocks off Johnny Ola with the coat hanger. Johnny tries to go limp, and it doesn't work because physics. And he tries to pillow fight Roth. Because
Yeah.
Roth is having, in Michael's words, the heart attack he's been dying from for 20 years. He has a stroke, though, so he's in the bed just stroking. And all the nurses are like, "Let's just leave him alone and celebrate New Year's." So they all go and get sparklers and cake or whatever, and they're in the hallway.
Screw this.
And then the assassin's like closing the shitty slatted doors,
Yeah.
like all careful, and starts. We get one of the most like unintentionally hilarious scenes where like the army's coming, like the military police are coming. And they like kick the doors open, and he like turns with his pillow on him. He's like, "Uh-oh," and then shoot him like 100 times. It's like, oh man, every assassination attempt so far, with the exception of Johnny Ola, has been a complete whiff in this movie, which is
I
like
didn't realize that.
it's like a. Because at the end of the first movie, everything Michael does goes 100% to
Yeah.
plan. Like Michael does everything right in the first
He
movie.
pulled off that like multi-kill one.
And then in the
5 or
second
6 or
movie,
something.
it's very interesting that we see Michael like at his strongest, but also not everything's working, which is pretty cool narratively, I thought. So, I forgot to mention one of the most famous scenes from this movie, which is at the stroke of midnight. Michael grabs Fredo like viciously by the cheeks.
Oh yeah.
And kisses him on the lips and go, "I know it was you, Fredo. You broke my heart." And then Fredo like runs out.
Again, just
Fredo's like, "But why'd you have to kiss me?"
And then, well, that kiss scene is like, you know how like,
They're Italian.
you know on like AMC like cable television channel or whatever, when they're gonna show like they're giving you a preview like this Saturday at noon there's gonna be a Godfather marathon or whatever. That kiss
Coming
scene is
soon.
Yeah, that kiss scene is one of the scenes that was always like on the commercials for the TV version of the Godfather, which is the version I had seen. So that's like one of the, at least in my brain, one of the most famous scenes from
Yeah.
this movie. is the Fredo kiss. So.
That in that scene, I was like, Fredo might make it out alive. Like he might actually forgive him. I was wrong.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping he would.
He may have at that point, but not after.
No.
Well, Michael's too.
Well,
I know.
He's too.
He's too gone. His soul.
And Michael
is
tells
gone.
his bodyguard, he's like, I don't want anything to happen to him while our mother's alive.
Yeah, and just think about how paranoid Michael is. Like, usually, like always, but then now especially. Like,
His
it's
own
wild.
brother, yeah.
Yeah. So, Michael returns home. Tom gives him the news that his wife had a miscarriage, and Michael yells again, actually. Wants to know the sex of the baby, and Tom's like, I don't know, man. Don't yell at me. And then
He probably did.
We do Nick's favorite thing, and we go back to the past again
Yeah.
for the last time. And this is the last set of scenes before the intermission. I'm still burping.
Gross.
Very,
Bless you.
very cool audio to listen to. Back to 1920. So Don Finucci, the bad man that's taking too much money. The what'd you call him, Zacchaeus?
Zacchaeus.
The wee little man of 1920 is aware of the partnership between Vito, Sal Tessio, and Clemenza, because they're like they're being Robin Hood, but without giving to the poor.
Just
Well, they're
giving
probably
to themselves.
And they're probably his first competition in the town.
Basically, and he goes, I want a cut, and I want back pay. He's like, I want $600. I want 200 from each of you, and then I want he says something like 30%, like every time from every job. And Clemenza and Tessio want to pay up, and Vito's like, no,
Why?
give me $50 each. I'll get him to take less. And they're like, how are you gonna do it? And he goes, I'll make him an offer. He don't refuse. And I went, that bitch is dead. And you were like, not necessarily. And I'm like, think about the last movie. Every single time,
Every time.
someone
Yep.
says, make him an offer, they don't refuse. That person died.
Yep.
It bugged me that he didn't say that he can't refuse.
I liked it. I like
Okay.
He was
because
still workshopping the phrase.
well, he's still workshopping the English language too, to a degree.
True.
You
Yeah,
know what I
that's
mean?
true.
He's only 30 or whatever, living in Little Italy or whatever. So, there's this whole just whatever. There's some movie that happens, and he ends up convincing him, and Finucci's like, I kind of like you or whatever. Like, you got balls, you got spunk, kid, essentially. And Vito's like, yeah, I'm still gonna kill you though. So he's like, we get this like Assassin's Creed moment where Vito,
Jumping
like
the roof.
Finucci's like in the crowd, and Vito's like being the like Ezio from Assassin's Creed and just like scurrying along building tops, which is cool.
Chimney
And just
sweep
watching
parkour.
him in his white suit as he's like this rich dude in a white suit, like running around, and Vito's like way up high, and it was super cool. And
It was
he,
really cool.
he picks the lock to his apartment and turns the gas light off, and he's got a gun wrapped in a towel, and I'm like, oh my god, De Niro's so cool. I actually lied. This is the second to last flashback. LOL.
What?
The Don like comes
Oh,
back up
right.
the stairs, and he turns the light back on. Then you see Vito, and the dude like turns to him and goes, "What do you have there?"
Yeah.
And then Vito shoots him
In the chest.
in the chest first, and he starts ripping his clothes and sees he's bleeding, and then shoots him in the head,
Did he have
in
on
the
a
face. He shot him in, like the cheek, and then
I thought he was
fell.
going to reveal a bulletproof vest.
That'd have been
Like,
awesome.
Hang on, he didn't.
No,
I thought he did.
no, he's bleeding.
Okay, that makes
It's
sense.
just like a reaction. You're like, I want to see it.
Yeah.
I guess. Like, I don't know what your brain does when you've been shot. I never want to find out. Knock on wood. And shoots him in the cheek, and then shoots him in the head.
Yeah.
Takes his wallet and runs upstairs, breaks the gun, puts a little piece of gun in everybody's chimneys like the world's shittiest Santa Claus, and then returns to his family, and
Carries on.
carries on, like tells little Michael that he loves him or whatever.
Aw.
I love the part where his towel caught on fire. He's like, "What the heck?" And just
Yeah, and then shot him again.
Yeah.
because the muzzle flash lit the tire on fire. That was the towel. Oh my god.
The tile on fire.
having a stroke.
Yes, I'm like freaking. What's his face? I'm gonna get smothered with a pillow. That was Don Benucci. He's dead. So then we get the court stuff, which is
Yeah.
the most boring part of the movie to me.
This is after the intermission, right?
After
That's
the
where it ended.
intermission happens, then and then we open out of the intermission into the court, which is kind of the other way that we just kind of. That's why it felt like we harsh opened into the court is like, it came after an intermission. So if you're gonna have like a harsh gear change, like you're gonna do it after an intermission, I guess.
True.
So there's some court stuff. Michael is like, I'm giving up my right to the Fifth Amendment, and just denies all the accusations. Like, no, I didn't kill those two dudes in the 20 years ago. No, I didn't do this. And no, and basically perjures himself 5 times.
Yeah.
And they go, all right, recess until tomorrow. Well, we'll bring in our key witness, because Michael's basically like, if you have a key witness, bring him in. Bold.
He was like, I challenge you to try to find anybody that could speak against me. And that,
Does he know that Frankie's alive at that point?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, he doesn't.
I thought he assumed he was assassinated. Or,
Right.
hit.
Yeah,
Or
I don't think
does
he
he?
knows that Frankie's against him at that point.
Does he know he's alive though?
I don't know.
Because the thing is the next
Wait,
time.
yes, because he threatens Roth, and he's like, I know I didn't put out the hit to kill him.
That's right.
True.
Right.
So yeah, he
That's
thinks
right.
he's dead.
Because again, he flies his brother in, so he has to know.
Oh,
he has
yeah.
to know who the witness
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
So, after the
Because that's when he talks to Fredo, and then it's like, we're done. 'Cause
Exactly.
He's like, they got the guy in his pocket, and he's like, okay.
exactly right after that, Fredo is found, because Fredo didn't go with Michael back to Cuba. Michael tried to get him to come back, and probably would have killed him on the plane or something, and whatever. But Fredo is back to the lake house. Just throw her on the ground.
Just
The dog.
shifting.
Oh,
We're good.
okay. Just got a dog on her lap for the listeners, and it hurts your legs to keep the tiny dog in your
Gotta
lap for a long
support the
time.
little girl.
I lost my train of thought. Oh, so Fredo's back in the lake house, and that's when, to your point, Michael does the whole. What does he say to him?
He's like, you're dead to me. You're not a friend. You're not a brother. I don't want to see you at the, like, if you're going to visit mom, tell me a day ahead so I'm not there. Like, it was,
Jeez.
cut him off pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the harsher Michael speeches, and then tells like his guard that's assigned to Fredo, "Burp, don't do anything until mom's dead." And then we go back to court, and as Carl put it, raspy fun voice guy is the star witness, and it's Frankie P. He went into witness protection, and Michael shows up to court after Frank with Frank's big brother, which is a baller move. Because Frank sees him and immediately goes, I've got to perjure myself.
Okay, but why?
Because he's
What
gonna
was
kill
the
his
move
brother.
there?
Yeah, Michael's
threatening
going.
his family.
Michael's
Is he-
going. Do
is
you
that what he's doing?
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you value your family more than putting me away? And Frank immediately just goes, "Yep," like I do. So he doesn't.
I guess.
He shuts up and just goes.
I was lost there. Because I was like, this dude doesn't understand or know anything. He can't speak to anything.
I think what you were supposed to gather from that is Michael's really scary.
Yeah. He's
Which,
threatening his
Again,
brother's
the
life.
shot of him entering the courtroom, just staring down Frankie P as he's getting like patted down by the guards, is just like,
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
oh,
Michael's one of the like most
So scary.
stone cold movie characters like of all time. He's awesome, but he's awful.
What was that tie, though, that the brother had? Just like 2 puffs on a string?
It was pretty awful.
It was
yeah.
like,
yeah.
It's like a bolo tie, just
Yeah.
awful.
But
with like palm
Sicilian.
fronds on the
Bring
end
it
of
back.
it. Yeah.
Bring back that
it
style.
back. Yeah.
So Frank basically recants everything, and they're like, you're perjuring yourself, and the hearing committee's like furious. And then Tom's like, you owe us an apology, like screaming at the court, which was awesome. Classic Tom, as Carl noted.
Classic Tom.
So then we get one of the harder to watch scenes with Kay right after this, which is the
Yeah.
Kay's like, I'm leaving and I'm taking the kids. And Michael's like, you can't take my kids. They're my kids. And she's like, they're my kids too. And Michael tries to sweet talk her and be like, hey, I know you're just upset about the miscarriage. We can have another kid and everything will be fine. And she goes like, Michael, you're blind. It was an abortion. And she says it like 45 times.
Yeah.
And she like twists
only
the
that-
knife. Like his face gets pissed. And then she twists the knife and goes, it was an abortion and it was a boy. And I didn't want to bring another one of your children into
I
this.
killed your children.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
killed your children rather than bring them into this like crime. And Michael, like, that's when he gives the scariest face of the whole movie. It's-
I thought he was going to kill her.
I did
thought,
too.
Yeah.
I actually think I said out loud that bitch is dead in the living room. But no, he slaps her down. And I don't remember what he says, but that was kind of the end of that.
Yeah.
It was
Well, then she's gone. She leaves.
yeah, we kicks her out.
She's trying to take the kids, and he's like, "You're not taking my kids."
Yeah.
Or is that?
Yeah,
a
it says like
different scene?
it's an impossibility. Like that's never
that
gonna
scene.
happen.
That's that
Like,
Is
scene.
it? Yeah.
Well, but later,
Later we realized she's gone. The kids are still there.
after the funeral, she like Connie sneaks her in.
Yeah.
But before that, we go back to Sicily. We go back in the last
The
flashback.
actual last one.
One of the, I think this is my favorite part of the movie. I loved this part of the movie.
The flashback.
This final flashback was my favorite part of the movie.
Oh, wow.
I loved it just because we got to see like some
we played
classic,
the long game.
some classic De Niro faces in this scene. You know what I mean? So Vito returns to Corleone, the town in Sicily that he's erroneously named after, for a family vacation, and he gets introduced to Don Ciccio under the guise of like, hey, this is the dude. Well, not the guise. This is the dude importing your olive oil into America. Like Vito's importing his olive oil into America, and he wants your blessing. Is the guise of why he's there. And Ciccio's like older than shit, and he can't hear or see. He's like, come closer. And he asked Vito who his father was, and it's good that the dude's like hard of hearing because it increases the tension because he has to ask him like 3 times, and then Vito tells him his name was
Leans
Antonio, and it's like, what? And Vito leans in and goes, this is a quote, his name was Antonio Andolini, and this is for you. Drives a knife into his gut and just rips it like up.
all the way across.
And it was
It was,
awesome, dude. I loved it. Just a big old slice in the gut. And dude, De Niro was so awesome in that scene.
Yeah.
Like the rage he had, like classic De Niro rage face. Like everybody can picture that in their head when De Niro's pissed. He's like sticks that lip out. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I loved De Niro in this movie. I'm like, dude, this dude is a superstar.
Tell me, it wouldn't be better to have an entire Vito movie where they give more backstory to the olive
Please
oil
don't say that
setup,
because they'll make it and it'll be the shittiest thing we'd
It's
have
too
ever
late.
seen.
and you
now.
spend more time
Yeah.
learning about Vito,
I don't
wanting to
want-
get revenge, and then the movie ends with that.
I don't.
That's what I wanted.
I'm pretty happy with how it was though. I don't want to
Why
change
didn't they
anything
get
about the Godfather.
Marlon Brando to play young since he was aged up for the first movie?
I don't know.
there was a reason I forget.
Contract
I read about
reasons
it.
or
Why?
something.
Yeah, contract reasons. I think honestly, I think they pissed off Marlon Brando with the first movie, and he didn't want to
Well,
come.
Marlon
back.
Brando's the
Really?
worst, kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't
but
know anything about him. Really.
Robert De Niro had auditioned for a small part in The Godfather Part 1, and so then when they needed a young Vito, Francis
Ford Coppola.
Yeah, the director was like, I want De Niro.
I've got the guy.
Yeah, like Brando is famously difficult to work with in Hollywood. He was
I have heard that.
He was a method actor that got on everyone's nerves.
Oh.
We watched a movie called Guys and Dolls with him and Sinatra. And it is the last, like they did a couple movies together, Sinatra and Brando. And Brando pissed Sinatra off so bad in this movie because there's a scene where they're in a diner and Sinatra's eating cheesecake. Remember that scene? He's eating cheesecake in this diner. And Brando fucked his lines up so many times that Sinatra ended up eating like 8 pieces of cheesecake. and he thought his singing voice was Brando's singing voice. He thought he sounded like a dog.
Well,
Can confirm.
Rip.
He didn't
He
sound very
sings That Lady Is a Tramp, and which is a classic like Sinatra song, and Brando just like butchers the hell out of it for 3 minutes, and it's like Sinatra's literally
Sinatra's right there.
standing there, and we've got Marlon Brando squeaking like a goose over this track.
Why would you do that?
And it was
What
like
movie is that?
Guys and Dolls, and Frank Sinatra's like, I will never work with this guy again.
Rip.
And so yeah, Brando's famously like not a fun guy to work with. So that's probably why. But let's wrap this up. How long have we been going? 57 minutes. We're
We
doing
good.
okay.
Not
Doing
bad.
okay.
Yeah.
Mama dies.
Man, the second I saw her in the casket, I went, "Oh, Fredo's dead."
Yep.
Oh yeah.
That's all I have to talk about that. Tom. This is where Tom has a meeting with Michael and wants Michael to stop seeking revenge because he's like, hey, the family's position is secure. And Michael gives him like hey, are you going to leave the family or are you going to do what I want to do essentially? And Tom's like, I'll do it. I'll do what you want to do. It's a little like,
It made me sad that he was kind of like, Tom's been loyal. Like, don't
Yeah, you got
The
a
most
little.
loyal. Yeah.
Don't get at
Got a
him.
little lippy with him.
Yeah, he
Didn't
didn't
like
deserve it.
Yep. So, yeah, that was sad, but it's like that's the real moment where you're like, oh, Michael's just gonna drive himself.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna do what he wants no matter what, and
Yeah.
it's gonna cost the family.
Yeah.
It's a little like Sunny-ish. You know, remember how
Oh,
like
okay,
ruthless
yeah.
Sunny was in the first
Oh.
movie? It's
The
At
brother.
first, my mind went to Sunny in Philadelphia, and I was like,
no,
what?
no, no.
What? I guess.
It's just like
The gang
Frank and
goes
Always
to
Sunny.
Yeah.
No.
Frankie.
No, it's kind of like he gets that irrational.
Yeah.
But he's not as like,
Hot-blooded.
flippant and,
Yeah.
and loose like Sonny is. He's still calculated, but man, like at any cost, he's like, I want everybody dead. So,
Yeah.
that kind of happens, and then Tom pays a visit to Frankie P in prison or house arrest or whatever, and they talk about how unsuccessful Roman conspirators would commit suicide by slitting their wrists in a bath, so that their families could like still be protected and live in the society and not be excommunicated or whatever. Because I think they would kill if you didn't off yourself. I think they'd kill you and your whole family.
Yeah.
So in order to like keep your family safe, you would go off yourself. And Frank takes the hint.
That makes sense.
Yep. And I remember this scene as well. So I remember the very first scene, and I remember this forward because Fredo bites it right after this. But yeah, they lose you there?
Well, I just didn't know why he was so willing to off himself after that conversation. But if he's protecting his family, then I guess that makes a little more sense.
Yeah. Or kind of like even at the basement level, like you can control your own fate instead of like living with Michael over your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
So Frank does the old bath and slash, and that's the
old
end of
bath
him.
and slash.
So
Suds and Bloods.
Suds and Bloods.
so
A lot
Fredo,
of really weird Sicilian traditions.
yeah, man, they're wild. You gotta
You
listen.
can't
to
deny anybody anything on your daughter's wedding, and you have to kill yourself to protect your family. There's so many.
Son takes communion, and the whole town's there hanging out. It's crazy, man. This is your culture we're
It
talking
is
about here.
my culture.
You're Italian. Oh, you mentioned actually that your great grandmother.
Oh yeah, so at the beginning of the movie, Vito immigrates in 1901. My great grandmother immigrated in 1905
Ooh,
through
Ellis Island.
Ellis
and
Island.
everything.
that's awesome.
So I was just like, this was my great grandmother.
Grandma Elvira, who I actually met.
Nice.
Nice.
I remember Elvira.
Oh,
She gone.
she gone.
What was her favorite movie?
I want.
What was the one movie she watched all the time? Was it
Well, we
Big
watched.
Fat Greek Wedding or something?
Yes, we would watch The Sound of Music when she would babysit me.
Incredible movie.
And then
the
as-
sing-along version?
No, not the sing-along version. And then when we got older, yeah, we would watch My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Never seen that movie.
And a movie called Moonstruck, which stars Cher and Nicolas Cage.
Wow.
That's probably
What a
a
combo.
Oscar-winning.
So,
How old was she when she came here?
I think she was about 5.
Oh wow. So she was
So
not too far off from.
Yeah, she was.
Vito.
She was little.
Didn't she say she said salud at dinner and all that?
Yeah,
fun
like
stuff?
certain like little lines in this, I'd be like, oh, she
Mamma
used to
mia.
say
It's
that.
Elvira.
Little Elvira.
Yes. So let's talk about Fredo, and that's really the last thing besides the final flashback that doesn't flash as far back. Fredo's hanging out with Michael's son, teaching him about fishing, and going, "Hey, I used to go out fishing with your dad and grandpa, and I'd be the only one who caught anything because before every cast I'd say a Hail Mary." And I'm like, more Catholic stuff. Also, he's projecting or foreshadowing, and he's about to take Fredo out on the boat to go fishing with the crazy mob protector that's just been watching over Fredo. I'm like, come on, man, you know what's happening, right?
Read the room.
And then Connie runs out and goes and gets Anthony. Is like, we got to go back to Reno now. And so like where Lake Tahoe is, it's more near Reno than I guess. So Reno's the closest big city to them. Then Fredo's like, all right, go ahead. And at that point, I assume he kind of knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And then we go to Fredo. The other hugely famous scene from this movie is Fredo's in the boat with a fishing line out, saying his Hail Marys, and then the dude shoots him in the back of the head. And that's the end of Fredo.
Rip.
Which at that point, everybody's dead. He did it.
He got off pretty easy though.
Oh,
Shot to the
we
head's
forgot to
instant.
mention too. I had it in the Mama's funeral thing. Hyman Roth gets assassinated at the airport by one of Michael's men as well. I almost failed to mention that. So we do a final flashback to Don Vito's birthday in 1940 something.
41.
One. Yes, because they had Pearl Harbor
Pearl
had happened a
Harbor.
few days sooner.
They had the nerve to bomb Pearl Harbor on Vito Corleone's birthday.
So, and Michael ended up enlisting in the Marines, and Sonny gives him hell about it. And Fredo does the only decent thing in the entire 6.5 hour span and goes to shake Michael's hand over joining the Marines. And they talk about how the point of that whole scene was they talk about how Don had bigger plans for Michael, like he was in school to be a lawyer, and he's throwing these plans away. And then right after this conversation, we go to the last shot of the movie, which is Michael's face staring out over Lake Tahoe alone because he's totally dejected. Alone. I just wanted to mention too, on a more humorous point, like all the I just had this thought. All the smoking that happens in this movie, like there's cigarettes are used for just like points, like props almost, or like exclamation marks on certain scenes.
Yeah.
And it would have been really funny. Like, can you imagine a scene being done today? Like, imagine there's a scene today, set in the modern day, and like Fredo's in the boat and he's saying his Hail Marys and pulls out like a jewel. It does like, can you imagine how not funny?
It just rips a huge cloud. And it's like, oh, is that cotton candy?
like Tom and Frank are in house arrest, and instead of smoking stogies, they're just ripping vape clouds.
Oh no!
Ah, yeah, strawberry cheesecake.
It's just funny how not
watermelon,
not cool
so
that is.
goofy.
Like you see smoking in movies, and you're like, oh man, I want to do that, and this looks sick, and it's like Of the Times and Mad Men and The Sopranos, but no, it's this electronic weed we have now. It would just be so stupid. I was cracking myself up last night thinking about like hitting a jewel before getting assassinated.
Before you get assassinated.
I love it.
Oh man, that's The Godfather, boys and girls.
Let's get an edit of this movie where they.
Fredo's just right before Fredo gets shot. There's just a huge vape cloud, and then the gunshot like puffs it away. Oh my god.
So, speaking of Fredo.
Yes.
It is worth talking about the guy who played Fredo. John Cazale?
Cazale? I don't know.
Not sure how to say it. Apparently, this wasn't his first movies, but it's definitely what he's known for. He did a series of 5 movies in 7 years, including these 2. And all 5 of those movies were nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture.
Wow.
Oh,
so he went from Godfather, starred in a couple other movies with Al Pacino, like was really like one of the actors at the time, but passed away 4 years after Godfather 2.
Oh, really?
Wow.
He died
Lung
young.
cancer.
Oh.
Lung cancer?
Yeah.
You gotta say that after I'm joking about vape clouds.
Segue.
Oh my god!
Speaking of,
oh my god!
He got the vape lung.
Oh my
He also
God.
fell in love with Meryl Streep on another movie, and they were,
Nice.
they loved each other. I guess.
They were
I don't know where I was going
little
with that.
friendly.
that was
they
it.
did
That was
some
the fact.
friendly
They loved each
things. Oh.
Very cool.
He reminded me of Fred Armisen a little bit.
That's
like I can see an SNL skit where like he plays him. Like, yeah.
Oh man.
I was initially really bummed out by the end of this movie. I
had to like talk
still
to you about
am.
it, 'cause I'm like, how do you not like this movie?
Well, it's not that I didn't like it. It was just I expected the ending to. I expected it to end with the Corleone family on more of a high note, like the family still together, and like maybe he lost Kay on me, but like he kind of had come out in the war and in the fight, but. It was really just kind of like a very somber end with like
kind of ambiguous too, because it's like, where do you go from there? Like, does he just does he retire? Does he just keep going? I can't imagine him stopping. So it's like,
there's a part 3.
Yeah, I didn't think that I wasn't thinking there was a part 3, but
not gonna watch it.
For the most part, I thought this movie was going to end with Michael dying, or a flash forward to the end.
I kind of wish it had, because then it'd be like, well, at least it ended.
And that might be what 3 is. I don't know.
Vito gets kind of like a happy ending. He grows old.
Right.
He's with his grandchildren. But like Michael doesn't really get that.
Vito needed to die to mark the end of an era, though, and I think the end of this movie kind of does a similar thing.
Yeah.
Because one of the last things he said to his mom is times are changing.
Yeah.
Because he asked what his dad would do, like if he would sacrifice family to keep the business going, and she was like, "Well, the business is the family," and he goes, "Well, times are changing."
Mm-hmm.
So, and then a couple decades later, like the mob now is a sham and a shell, not a sham. Please don't murder me. It's a shell of what it once was. You know what I mean? Like there's still a mafia, but like it's not
not what it
the
was.
movie.
It feels more
era.
corporate and less family.
Yeah.
More
in a-
Not
politics.
that I know anything
in a
about
post
it. But
in a post Rico world, the mob isn't what it is.
Relevant.
Which, shout out to Rudy Giuliani for turning himself into jail today over Rico. You stupid bitch. That mugshot was hilarious.
I wanted him in an orange jumpsuit, but
I mean, one day.
we'll get there.
Let's get through the extremely easy task of the rating and or any final thoughts first.
I only had a couple other notes that were just me being stupid.
And look at my
Please
notes.
tell.
Let's hear it.
This is the best part of the show.
At the beginning, at the beginning of this movie, when we first see Kay, I went, "Oh, it's Diane Keaton. I wonder who she's playing in this movie." I didn't recognize that as Diane Keaton in the first movie,
Oh boy.
Oh my
I didn't
god,
either.
that's hilarious.
but the second movie, I was
either.
like, "Oh, look, it's her." I don't know if
Yeah.
she just aged.
Well, she did
certain-
look so young in the first
She was-
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it took me. So I was like, "Wait a minute, was that like I had the goo?" I was like, maybe a different actress played Kay in the first movie. Nope,
No.
I'm just dumb. And then I didn't realize that Sonny was played by James Kanan.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say his last
Buddy
name.
the Elf's dad.
Buddy the Elf's
Yeah.
dad. I didn't realize that was
Didn't
Sonny.
I mention that in the last episode? No.
No.
Oh, we did.
I hope
I
not.
thought we did.
No, I don't
I
know.
think we did.
So this is a banger, right?
What?
Like, do we even have to talk about it? Like, all 4 hits. This is
Nick.
a huge
Look
movie.
at Nick's face. Look at
Uh-oh.
Nick's face.
Would you like me to replace you on the show?
I
Because I can have it done.
didn't. I don't want to say I didn't like because I liked this movie a lot. The plot didn't do it for me.
What the hell
It
was the
was-
matter with
Oh
you?
man.
It was really scattered.
No, it wasn't. Did you just not pay attention? Were
No,
you
I
lost?
paid so much attention.
This one, I had to look up less about this movie
Really?
than the last one.
I felt like there was a lot more subtle things that happened that you had to pay
I
attention
totally disagree because in the first one we've got the whole Sonny situation with the drug deal, feigning interest and getting the Don Fredo whacked. We have the Don somehow deducing that one family is after him and not the other, and that is never explained. We're just supposed to take that at face value. Everything here was more predictable than
I don't
those
know,
things.
just like him.
If you call this movie a mid,
There's
I
a
will
lot
actually be pissed
said
off at you. Like
Without
that doesn't
anything
make
being
sense.
said. Like when he like nods when Michael like kind of just looks at what's his name's bodyguard and like he's like, yeah, get rid of him. Like there's
There was
a
a lot of
like
that.
communication
Yeah,
with
but
But
And,
they're-
like,
they do
whenever
lay the
he-
groundwork for like that's how Michael is. So I don't know.
It's
Like-
yeah, the groundwork is
I kinda-
100% laid.
Whenever he realizes that Fredo is the one who is behind everything, I didn't get that at first. It was too subtle. There was like 30 minutes past.
How he asked,
And
him
I paused the
explicitly-
movie.
We had 3 notes for that. Johnny Ola is who calls Fredo in the bed right after Michael's assassination hit, and Fredo goes, "I don't know you. I don't want to know who this is. Blah blah blah. Goodbye." It's Johnny Fredo. It's the dude that he helped coordinate the assassination with. We have Michael asking him explicitly if he knew who Johnny Ola was, and Fredo goes, "I've never heard of him." And then we have the strip club scene where he goes, "Johnny Ola showed me this place," and Michael's face goes, "Fredo did it." It's totally laid out like more than 2 times that was the case. So this is
don't
another
know.
just you don't
Maybe it
watch
was all the time
movies.
jumps.
Dude, I don't know.
How do the time jumps detract from anything? They're
I'm trying
clean
to help.
breaks.
I'm trying to give him a
If he gives
I don't
this a
know.
mid, I will never forgive him because calling the Godfather Part II mid is just R-worded. It just can't be the case
Ugh.
over any other mid.
Listen, okay.
Like that's just insulting. Like personally to me, that's insulting. I'm gonna have I'm gonna put a horse in your bed.
Hang on. I don't want to sound like I didn't like this movie.
Well, you're the one making it sound like you don't like this movie, making faces about hit, mid, or miss. Holy shit!
I just think compared to the first, I didn't like the plot as much. it was harder for me to follow.
Yeah, but both
That's all
movies
I'm
can
saying.
still be hits. Like if you say mid, I'm going to slash your tires.
Well, I
Outside
like
of
my
my house.
tires, and they're expensive to replace, so I won't say that.
Oh my god, it's so freaking frustrating. I don't get it.
It's a hit, man.
It
Come on,
is.
it's
It's so not even a
I mean-
question that it's a hit. It's not even up for discussion that it's a hit, even though we've been discussing it for 10 minutes. It's insane to say otherwise. Like insane. Above every other movie on this list. More than Casablanca, more than Pulp Fiction, more than Citizen Kane. This is probably the two greatest movies we'll watch on this list.
I mean, I'm not saying they're even close to the bottom of the list. I'm just saying compared to the first one. And maybe it's just because I'm coming off the first one.
But yeah, that's an insane scale. That's like me saying like I didn't like Django Unchained because we watched Pulp Fiction first. That's not fair. Django's like an amazing movie.
Yeah.
It's just not Pulp Fiction. But it's like, dude, it's like not liking Star Wars after you've seen Empire. It's still an amazing movie.
I just thought it was a notch down from the first one. So that's why my gut was
So
going
instead of a
mid.
10, it's a 9.9. Like,
Yeah.
where would you put it on a scale of 1 to 10? That's interesting.
Like 4.5. Oh, out of 10. Out of 10. Out of 10. Jeez, sorry. We did 5 before.
I almost
all
went and got a
Calm
gun.
Down, calm down. Out of 10, 9.5. Out of 10,
I go
9.5.
try to find
Or a 9.
Johnny Ola you with a clothes
So you
hanger.
would put it at a 9, but then think it's mid?
Listen.
That's what I'm saying with the scale. Like, it's
maybe I'm comparing the two too much then. Because it is a 9 out of 10 movie or a 4.5 out of 5.
Okay.
But
yeah, I mean, yeah.
but the first one is a 5 or a 10.
Well, the first one's yeah. I mean, they're both
Oh, man.
perfect.
I don't know.
movies.
I just think coming out of the last one, I was a little let down compared
Whoa.
to the first.
Yeah,
compared to the
you're
first.
shaving a point off and then dropping an entire
But-
grade.
Yeah, that's you can't
You're
do
like,
that. You
it
can't do
wasn't
that.
a 5, so it's a mid, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like, jeez.
If it's
I
not a
hate
5,
this
it must be
system.
a 3.
I hate this system.
Look what it's doing.
All right, I'll
Conversation.
go-
Why do you hate the system? It's a hit.
I'll go
It's
hit.
bringing us
I'll go
together.
hit, but I didn't like it as much as the first.
That's okay.
That's
Yeah.
still
We
a
said
hit.
the
That's
same thing.
that's fine.
Yeah.
That's the system. You're working within the system. Were you going, I don't like it as much as the first one, so I don't know if it's a hit, is objectively stupid. Like, that's insane.
Oh,
It's
man.
insane people talk. Oh,
Movies.
boy. Almost had to murder Nick. Almost had to have David on this show for
Oh,
the rest
no.
of the run. I know.
Yeah, Nick, I love you, but
You're breaking my heart.
But yeah.
I know it was you. I knew you tanked the rating.
You're not a brother. You're not a friend. Oh, my God. What do we do? What else do we do on this show?
We need to pull our next
pulled-
movie.
Oh,
Because
who's-
I don't even
it's
remember.
my
I cold pill-
turn.
Oh, yes. Wait.
Because
Yeah,
like
I
I did
did
one
Kill
already.
Bill.
Carl
did
picked
Godfather.
Godfather.
That's
Right.
right. That's right. That's right.
So
Danielle,
Godfather Part 2 is a big room banger.
certified.
There's that.
Tis a hit.
I don't like pulling because I feel like I'm going to pull a bad one.
Godfather Part 3.
It's not in there.
God, what if?
I swear to God, if you
just
pull
snuck it in there.
Tombstone, I'm gonna kill myself. What'd you
I
pull?
pulled Blade Runner.
Oh!
I've always wanted to see Blade Runner.
I will be watching both.
It's the second one. It's not in
The
this.
the second one is very good.
So here's the thing with Blade Runner. There are like 6 cuts. Not a joke.
Oh, right.
So
Which one are we gonna watch?
we're going to have to decide probably out of band which one we watch. And we might, I think Steven might be a good person to ask
I was going to say, we have to consult.
because like if you look on Reddit, it's a freaking flame war because there are legitimately 6 cuts. And some
That's
of
a
them
lot of
have
cuts.
some of them have voiceover dialogue, some of them
Oh.
don't. They rearrange parts of the movie.
I don't
like,
know
they're a
anything
big
about
deal.
Blade Runner.
So Blade Runner
Nothing
is,
at all.
It is a cyberpunk-ish kind of
No, I figured it out.
future dystopia deal starring Harrison Ford.
I knew it had Harrison Ford in it.
Blade
that's
Runner,
about
the
it.
final cut, is generally considered the best, says ScreenRant.com.
All right. I mean, I don't care or know. Like,
I feel like that's the one
my
I've seen.
my brain would want to go with like theatrical, but that's probably
The
wrong.
first.
Yeah, that's probably wrong. I just don't know. We just all need to watch the same one. So
We will consult.
it'll probably be whichever one's available to rent or
Yeah.
or find on HBO or whatever. I think it's probably on HBO. No.
Didn't they also just remake this movie? or do like a sequel.
They
There's
did a
like
sequel.
2049.
Blade Runner 2049 or
And that's-
2079
is that
with
Gyllen-
Gosling.
Gosling and
Yeah.
Gyllenhaal, same in my brain.
It's a rare
They're close.
like improvement. I think it's really good.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Blade.
it's like a
dude,
visually stunning movie. Yeah,
I think last year started watching some
Cinematography.
some cyberpunk, some cyberpunk kind of movies, and was watching like Demolition Man and stuff like that. But kind of dancing around Blade Runner for some reason because I just didn't want to watch it on like a random Saturday afternoon. So now I get to
Here we are.
Now I get to really bite down and watch Blade Runner. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to see this a Harrison Ford movie that's not Star Wars or Indiana Jones. So
There you go.
I've really not really seen him in much else. So
Me either. But
Here
we
go.
should wrap this up.
yeah, let's wrap this up. It's been a long time. Gonna
Been a
watch.
while.
It's
I was gonna do it.
It's been a while.
Man, this episode had it all. Zacchaeus and Jesus meat.
Jesus me.
Do we call the episode? No, we can't.
No.
Please.
We can't call the episode Jesus
Fredo sucks part
meat.
2.
Oh man.
Zacchaeus. That was good.
And with that,
Thank-
we leave you. We're gonna watch Blade Runner, and we'll catch you in the next one.